Hello and welcome back to Culinary Haven. Today we're making a surprise birthday cake. A classic cake for a stand-up guy. We're making Black Forest Gateau. Let's begin. And we'll start with preparing the filling because we need to cook it and we need to cool it. To make the filling we'll need a 340 grams jar of morello cherry jam, 200 grams of dried morello cherries. You can buy them in Whole Foods, and 5 tablespoons of Kirsch. We'll put it in a small saucepan and bring it to a simmer on a very low heat and cook it for about 10-15 minutes until it's thick and the cherries plump up. The jam, it's very thick now, but it will melt and make a perfect syrup for the cherries to plump up. Every drop of it. 5 tablespoons of Kirsch. And 200 grams of dried morello cherries. That's it, let's cook. Just give it a stir. When it comes to a simmer, and after, I don't know, 7 to 10 minutes, if you see that the cherries are still not plump enough, you can add 1 or 2 tablespoons of Kirsch. Just keep going until they are soft and plump. But it won't take long, they're not that dry. The mixture will first get thinner as the jam will melt, and then with cooking and the dry cherries absorbing the moisture, it will get thicker. As you can see, it started bubbling now and it's very runny, and that's good. Now we'll just cook it for 10 minutes and stirring occasionally and see how the cherries are doing after 10 minutes. Cooking very nicely. We're nearly there, probably a minute or 2. So the cherries have been cooking for 12 minutes now, and I can see that they're ready. There is still plenty of liquid jam, but it's fine. When it cools, it will get thicker and it will get to the perfect consistency. So now it's time to switch it off. I'll transfer the mixture into a bowl just so it cools quicker because we need the filling to be cold. And now we'll prepare the batter. We'll need 225 grams of butter at room temperature, 225 grams of caster sugar, 4 large eggs, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 160 grams of self-raising flour, 55 grams or half a cup of cocoa powder, and half a teaspoon of baking powder. We'll start with blending together the butter and sugar. Into a large glass bowl, we put the butter and the sugar. And I'm using an electric handheld whisk, and you can also do it in a stand mixer with a paddle attachment. We're going to blend it together until it's fluffy. And now I'm going to start adding eggs, 1 at a time, 4 large eggs. Scraping down the sides after each addition. It only takes a few seconds to mix 1 egg. And now the dry ingredients. I'm going to combine in this fine mesh sifter 160 grams of self-raising flour, 55 grams of cocoa powder, and a half a teaspoon of baking powder. By doing this, we're distributing the flour and the cocoa powder evenly, and there won't be any lumps. cocoa powder always have lumps in it, so we'll just press it down through this fine mesh, and this is it. And now we're going to gently fold it in with the rubber spatula, mixing it from the bottom up, scraping the sides, and mixing it until it's all thoroughly combined. That's it. It's done. And now we're going to divide the batter between two 20 centimeters in diameter baking tins lined with parchment and greased. And now we're going to spread it gently around the pan. And now we're going to bake them in the preheated to 180 degrees Celsius oven for about 25 minutes. The cakes should be firm when you lightly touch them, and just about starting shrinking around the edges. And now we'll prepare the second part of the filling, which is cream. We need 1 pint of double cream into a large bowl, 6 tablespoons of icing sugar, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And we're going to whisk it to soft peaks. Just give it a little stir so it doesn't bind. There you go. It's getting thicker, but we're not there yet. When it starts getting thicker to sort of sour cream consistency, be very careful. Just whip it for about 10 seconds at a time, because it's very easily to overdo it, and then you'll end up with butter. Nearly there, another 10 seconds. Or maybe less. Give it a stir. Three more seconds. This is it. Ready. Dropping consistency. And now we're going to put it in the fridge until we're ready to assemble the cake. The cakes are now ready, and we're going to let them stand for about 5 minutes in the molds, and then we'll unmold them onto a wire rack and let them cool completely. And then we'll slice them horizontally in half to make a 4-layer cake. Now I'm going to transfer them onto the wire racks and let them cool. I'll leave the parchment on for a few minutes, and then we'll peel it off and slice them in half. The cakes are now cold and we're going to slice them using a bread knife. Position the knife in the middle of the cake. Hold it with your hand gently on top and just gently go all the way to lift the top and same with the second. And now we're going to sprinkle the 4 pieces of the cake with 100 ml of cherry brandy. I'm using this little plastic bottle with a tiny nozzle so I don't pour everything in one piece. And just go around. Even if your cake's baked unevenly, maybe one side a little bit higher than another one, even though this cake is good in terms that it's not creating a big dome, because we need sort of flat slices to build the cake, you can adjust it when you're building it up. And the last bit of preparation before we start assembling the cake is some dark chocolate. Minimum 70% cocoa solids, and we'll grate it on a coarse side of the grater. I'm using 100 grams of dark chocolate. You can use a little bit less if you wish. That should do it. And now to the best part, assembling the cake. Our cherry filling is now nicely chilled and it's thick and perfect. And so is the whipped cream, the grated chocolate and some fresh cherries on top. Start from one piece on the bottom and I'm going to put a third of this filling on top. Divide this cherry mixture into 3 portions. And gently spread it evenly. Around the cake. It's very thick, the filling, but we've already moistened the cake with the cherry brandy and that's enough. And now we're going to put a layer of whipped cream on top of that. Don't get carried away. Make sure that you have plenty for all the layers and also for some on top. And we'll sprinkle some dark chocolate on top of the cream layer. It's a very lovely combination of flavors and textures. Nice and light cream and some bitter chocolate on top of that. And now the next layer of the cake goes on top. Press it gently and put the second portion of the cherries on top of that and spread it evenly. And a layer of cream, some chocolate, do it quickly, it melts. If your hands are like mine, warm, it just melts in seconds. And the last layer goes on top. Now I'll put a thin layer of the cream on top of the cake first, and then I'll put the remaining cream into a piping bag to make it even prettier. And now I'll put whatever's left of the cream into a piping bag. Just using this container to hold the bag. Not much left, but that should do it. Push it down. And now we'll pipe the little rosettes. The star nozzle makes a little pretty pattern here. And of course the cherries on top. Fresh cherries in the middle of winter. Because it's always summer somewhere. And here it is, the magnificent Black Forest Gateau. Happy birthday, Paul. Thank you for watching this episode of Culinary Haven. Until next time, bye.